Well, we're going to start to talk a little bit about the 602 crate motor, a pretty popular engine combination out there nowadays. So if you want to pick up about 30 to 35 horsepower, it's in the cylinder heads and the camshaft. The cylinder head work that we do is what we call our undercover porting. This is a brand new Chevrolet 602 crate that a customer sent us. It's never been run. And important thing to remember when we do the undercover work is we do nothing to the outside of the head. So this particular head has the Chevrolet markings. Some of them have different color markings inside. We leave all that the same. If you send us a set of older cylinder heads that have been run 20, 30, 40 nights, we clean them, but we don't clean them too much, meaning we want them to look original, like they've never been off the used engine. Now, as far as the undercover work is concerned, we do nothing to the intake port openings, we do nothing to the exhaust port openings. The undercover work that we do to the cylinder heads is done on a short-term radius and down in the bowl area on the exhaust, and we do a fair amount of work in the combustion chamber after we do the valve job for our look-alike valve. So as far as getting the porting work noticed during some type of an inspection, the heads would have to come off the motor, be taken apart and looked at by somebody who's extremely skilled at looking at cylinder heads. And even then, it's not real obvious what we do. What is obvious is the performance improvement. The cylinder heads and the camshaft are a good solid 35 horsepower gain. That's kind of split about evenly, the heads and the camshaft, about 15 horsepower apiece. So as far as the heads are concerned, we do work on bare heads. If you send us your bare heads, we'll send your bare heads back, but most people send us their complete heads, just take them off the crate motor and ship them to us. If you don't have boxes, we can send you some head boxes, which makes it easier for you to send the heads to us. Now, as far as the parts going into the cylinder heads, they're as critical as the work that we do to the heads. One of the things that we do to the heads that's a little bit different is the valve job. If you're going to be doing a valve job, meaning machining the seats on an open competition motor with a faster action camshaft and 500 plus lift, it's a completely different seat design than on a crate motor. Crate motor has a very slow action camshaft and is only 430 lift on the intake side. So in our development process on the 602 crate, we wound up with a very wide valve seat, and that helped airflow at the 200 and 300 lift range. Another thing that helped airflow quite a bit at those lift ranges are our look-alike intake valve. The valves that come in the 602 crate is this one. This is a stock Chevrolet valve, and this is the 603 crate. They have the same valve. Our valve is right here. This is our look-alike valve that'll work on the 602 and the 603 crate. It increases airflow at 200 lift, 12 CFM on the 602 crate, and 9 CFM at 300 lift. As we get to 400 lift and 430 lift, it's about a 2 or 3 CFM improvement. So it's really designed for that 200 and 300 lift points that give you a little bit more airflow, actually a lot more airflow. 9 and 12 CFM is huge. And it's a special design valve. It has a little bit thicker margin, a little bit different back angle as far as the radius. It is back cut. When it's in the cylinder head, its own mother wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And it's, when we do the valve job and the chamber are specially cut in the 602 head for our intake valve. And this is kind of a proprietary piece. We very rarely sell these to anybody to put in their own heads. They're really only available in our cylinder heads when we redo them. The other components that we put into the 602 head are not going to help airflow and horsepower. They're going to help durability. The valve springs. The valve springs are obviously very problematic on the 602, and so are the retainers and the locks. But the valve springs are probably the biggest pain in the butt. Now, there's nothing really wrong with the Chevrolet valve spring. If you keep them fresh, you want to change them as often as you need to, they work fine. The problem with them is they tend to go away really quickly. So the spring that we have dimensionally is exactly the same as a Chevrolet spring. Chevrolet's had about 3 different versions of the springs. So our spring on the outside diameter is exactly what the Chevrolet one is. It's 1.235. The Chevrolet spring is also 1.235. The wire diameter on our spring is 1.74, and on the Chevrolet spring it's exactly the same. It's 0.174, excuse me. So dimensionally, the valve springs are identical. What's not identical is the material that they're made out of. Ours is made out of a much better material. That's going to last a lot longer. We've had guys run them for like 3,000, 3,500 laps without changing them. And where you get into trouble with the valve springs is valve float. This motor was really designed for about 56, 1,500 RPM. Nobody in a circle track application is running them at that RPM. So what tends to happen is the intake spring loses some pressure, the intake valve floats, and we can see that, the evidence of that, when the used heads come in with a lot of laps on, the valve train is a little bit beat up. The stamp locks, push a burr on the valve, we have to file the valve to get the intake valve out. Not so prevalent on the exhaust valve. But you can run the stock springs if you want to change them every 3 or 4 weeks. That's kind of up to you, but you may have other things, better things to do with a couple hours of your time rather than changing valve springs. The third area is camshaft. Okay, so we can get more airflow through the cylinder heads by doing the undercover work. The airflow is enhanced considerably with our look-alike valve. And then for durability, you want to put the look-alike springs on retainers and locks. Now, as far as the camshaft is concerned, all of our camshafts are purchased from Chevrolet, so we grind them on the same core that Chevrolet puts in the 602. Now, there's no part number, no stamping or anything on the camshaft. All they tend to have is a little bit of orange paint. We have several different design camshafts depending on your application and your rules. We have one cam that's simply a stock regrind. So it's the Chevrolet cam that's basically reground to the stock specs. And we have 2 other camshafts that have a little bit more duration and a little bit less lobe center, and those will enhance performance a little bit more. So if you're looking to pick up your crate motor, anywhere from 20 to 35 horsepower, we can do bare heads, we can do complete heads, we have cams in stock, we have springs in stock, we can send you boxes to get your heads to us easy. If you're looking for more performance on a 602 crate, we've got you covered.